Okay, my timekeeper just told me I should start moderating so we can start right on time with the next talk. Our next speaker is Markus Wienen from, I think, next door. Yeah, okay. Haspa, in any case. And he'll tell us why banking is an ethical industry. And, well, I'm thrilled. And
Me too.
okay, so your 12 minutes, your stage, enjoy.
Okay, moin. 12 minutes to tell why impact matters and banking is an ethical industry, and I might have too many slides. So to kick it off, I think we as an industry, we as creators, somehow adopted a paradigm of tech optimism. We're innovating products, we're innovating processes, we're innovating businesses. We feel like we're disrupting industry after industry, and as soon as we bring in digitalization and tech, everything will be better. We're making things beautiful, we're making them seamless, we're taking the pain out of them, and bringing in tech makes them better, and it turns out to the good. But for 2 years or so, there's another aspect in the discussion, at least I experience it like that, and somehow there's this feeling that digital is also a little bit broken. Some examples that we might all remember, it maybe started with Facebook, or Cambridge Analytica to be more precise, weaponizing data and showing us how Facebook's targeting algorithm can take us, and took us since then in many cases. Another one, Chinese social scoring system, which at least puzzles like Western mindsets and how they handle privacy and how they look at how they use technology to put up social control. This is Instagram just recently thinking about abandoning their like functionality because they experience and have to acknowledge that it is no good to users' health, bringing up mental stress, which is not good, to have social comparison all the way. I like that one. That's the future of vacuum cleaning, selling my ground plants to furniture stores like IKEA. And it's basically the Internet of Things spying in my bedroom. Yeah. And although we might not want to hear about it again, maybe even Rezo, and he attacked like German Conservative Party CDU and their respondents in 11 pages of PDF, it maybe showed like a disconnect between the old and the new, and it's not technology bridging that disconnect, it's like fostering it. This is Tim Cook just a week ago in a speech in Stanford. He addressed the same point, saying that Silicon Valley has used technology to remake our society in the last years, and they're responsible for too many mistakes, like all the things that came out of that, and I had some examples just a minute ago. There's the startup in the US. They measure something they call the monthly Global Policy Uncertainty Index. And although not everything that's affecting that index is a digital aspect, but at least all those uncertainties connected with digitalization, what does it bring to us, what about AI, and all those discussions that we're having here all the time, adds to that story. And this is 9/11, and this is where we are today. So we, as an industry within tech, might feel, but wait, this is not a tech problem, right? It's misuse. So it's somehow about the users, that they're doing something wrong. They're using Instagram in the wrong way or something like this. But I feel that's too simple. Because looking at the weapons industry, I mean, there's always a guy pulling the trigger. There's always a guy shooting. But no one would say that the weapons industry is not part of that story. I started in user experience design. And I certainly was a part of that story. I am still. I thought about habit forming, which is quite a nice concept. Think about how it is called, habit forming. I thought about how can I use design patterns to guide users where I wanted them to go. And best case, where I wanted them to go would be where they wanted to go themselves. But I might also be led by business decisions, guiding users where I wanted them to go, without that being the place where they wanted to go, or where it might not even be good to have them. You might know the Copenhagen Catalog, which is a collection of 150 principles for new direction in tech. That's how they call themselves. And there are many statements that point in exactly that direction. So it's nothing new. It's nothing that I brought up. There are no side effects. There are only consequences. It's like also in digital, it's the pitch to think about the consequences of what we produce, of what we design, because we're including like decisions and we're guiding users with what we design. And I especially like that blue one, build better futures. And interestingly, like the digital pioneers in Silicon Valley, they thought of themselves in exactly that way. They thought of themselves as establishing a counterculture. They wanted to bring in something new to the old industry. They wanted to change that. And like all those companies that we're talking about today, the GAFAs and all the Silicon Valley startup stuff we're talking about today, it kind of built on that idea. But nowadays, I mean, it's different. Like those guys, like tech is in charge as a counterculture. It started as a counterculture. Nowadays, they're in charge. And maybe it's time to think about some new cultural aspects that we want to bring into the conversation, that we want to have and guide us in our decisions building products and building digital businesses. And I would like the idea to gather around values. Of course, also that's not new. There are a lot of examples. I just choose that one. That's Noah, basically beach and surfer wear clothing, and they committed themselves to be fully transparent about the supply chain, which is quite a huge thing in the clothing industry. Think about how they contribute to climate change, working conditions, and stuff like that. Even showing which steps adds how much to the bill. Like, this is the price of my product, which step, and all that supply chain adds how much to the bill. And this is, I think, quite a value-based approach. And of course, digitalization, I mean, it's clothing, but digitalization is like an enabler to realize such a model, to be transparent in that way. There are also real-world aspects, of course. This is another one, just to have a little bit of variety. Replace plastic, I like that a lot. The idea is to achieve transparency of refusal of consumption. Like, you're in the supermarket, there's something you would like to buy, but you find there's too many plastic involved. So you can scan the product, the barcode, and the service sends a message to the business owner, to the producer, telling him that you're not buying the product due to them using too much plastic, which is quite a nice model. So, banks. I think it's quite an interesting place to work these days. I mean, they heard about this thing called digitalization just the last week, and today they're already in the middle of the storm. But maybe there's kind of an advantage to this, like the fourth mover advantage, being so slow. Maybe we can use that to bring in digitalization and values alongside each other. That would be a nice idea. This is 155 billion euros. Is the market volume, like what spent German consumers for sustainable products in 2017. And there are also some banking products that contribute to that idea. I just listed some. This is Enertrag, sounds terrible in English, where you can basically invest in wind parks. Like, all the money you put in there builds some wind parks all around the world, funding wind parks, wind energy. More broadly, Fair Future Fund, where all the money that you put in there goes to companies that underlie very strict sustainability criteria. So you can make sure that all the money you invest there works for the good. Dutch Rabobank, investing in social participation and social products all around the world. So that's actively investing on the banking side, using our money for good, using our money to express our values. But thinking about businesses that we design, as creators, as an industry, I briefly looked at the German deposits. That's all the money that's lying around on bank accounts and that's not actively used for, like, consuming things. That's 4,984 billion euros in April 2019, just in Germany. That's quite a lot, and that's basically the money that banks use to earn money themselves and to handle loans, for example. So that's the money they are working with. And it would be a nice idea to take that money and make banks design a bank business using that money to work for the good, like designing good businesses. Again, it's not new. There are already a lot of players doing that. Triodos Bank investing in sustainability with all the money they collect from their customers. Same story, Bank of Tomorrow, you might know it, startup in Hamburg. Investing in sustainability, sustainable products all around the world, set up as a mobile bank, very nice. German Sparkassen, investing in local product and local community. This is, of course, what I think might be a good idea. And maybe a little bit extreme, Parks Bank, investing in all values all around the idea of Christianity. Okay, so the idea, zooming out, is pretty simple. When we take our responsibility as designers, as creators, as a digital industry to design products, processes, and businesses. In banking, maybe you want to design banks as platforms, if you say so, as business models, as enablers for money-based value expression. Because the money you give to me, I can use it to do something good, and I can also build products where you can invest in like good things. And this is the last slide, which is great. Of course, there are a lot of other values we could gather around. I just brought up some, and I brought up some concerning banking, because this is where I wanted to, which I wanted to highlight. But the general idea, I just said it a minute ago, would be to maybe it's a good idea to bring in values when setting up digital products, when setting up digital business models, alongside digitalization, and using that one to drive change the same way as like the Silicon Valley startup pioneers did when they wanted to change like the old industries. And maybe it's time again to change what digital is today, even in banking. And that's when banking might become an ethical industry, if it not should be already. I'll just stop here.
Thank you very much, Markus. And now 6 minutes for questions, and there's the first one already.
Thanks. Yeah, it's Kai. Very interesting topic. I don't believe it matters because the industry will not be there anymore in a few years, probably. So to have a very cynical point of view, and actually you touched some things which for me it's just too low from the level of depth. Talking about some products, investing in sustainable stuff. Yeah, everybody can do it. Each bank has a show product where they believe, we are credible. We are, and everyone has this fun and public relation project somewhere. Yeah. But the real problem is how banks make money, and banks make money by taking money they have not earned themselves and trying to make more out of it by products no one really understands, and taking all the loopholes you find somewhere in the world. So I would really like to put it in a perspective, and you have a very, very good view here, and maybe you have some ideas on this aspect of this topic here.
Yeah, I mean, totally fair. This is, of course, this is one aspect that I fleshed out, and there are many others, and this is not all the banks. This is something banks could do on the product side. I mean, you're totally right. But there were so many aspects. I mean, if there's no banking industry within 15 years, what would we do then? I would say let's have the same idea concerning how we think about payment, because payment might be there in some way. So maybe we want to think about how to build payment value based. Same idea. Yeah, blockchain might be a good idea technologically, but it's not a value based approach, right? Yeah, but maybe you want to do something good with all the things. I mean, okay, so this is about the banking industry, whether it's there or not, and whether this is too simple regarding all the industry. As I said, yes, it's not about all the products. It's about some products. It's about some aspects. But the general idea to have like values guiding us in our design decisions, if we design businesses, if we design processes and products, whatever it may be, that's the pitch applied to banking.
Hi, first, thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. And I wanted to ask, because there's so much regulation going on in the banking industry, and there's a lot coming now for sustainability. There's MiFID and whatever, and banks are pretty much doomed to be sustainable in the future, because there are so many regulations that tell you how you need to invest, that you need to check your loan portfolio, for example, so that you don't have environmentally threats in there and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm wondering, do you have an idea how banks can still maybe differentiate themselves? Because you have showed some banks that they really have a sustainable business model, and I think that's really something that you could aspire. But for the regular banks, is there anything how they can differentiate themselves? Other than the things they have to do by regulation, for example?
I would like the idea that from a consumer's perspective, setting up businesses with following values in a way, which is something that is also regulated in the near future. That's right. But setting up businesses all around values might be something that we as consumers want to adopt and want to follow, and we want to have those products. That's naive, I think. You cannot do it today with convenience goods, all those bio stores and stuff like this. And it's more, but it's not that all the market is turning in that direction. So I don't know. I would like the idea that we as consumers make that decision, and I'm just saying that when we as designers of those businesses, we as designers of those products also think in that direction, the match might be better. Nowadays, it's like a little part of the story to have businesses designed in that direction, and the pitch would be maybe to implement some value-based approach in everything we do, and that might give more traction to the story. But it's just an idea. I don't know.
Hello. Thank you so much for your talk. I've got a question on the value thing, because value is such a great buzzword, but how does it look like, right? How do you execute on that? What do you really give to the consumer, maybe in an ideal world, but also you're from Haspa, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
What does Haspa do then? Because it is more a conservative banking.
Like the whole industry.
Yes, yep. Yes. So ideal world, and what is Haspa doing on that concretely?
I mean, great. What does value mean? It means everything and nothing, and no one's against it. So values is always a good idea. Cool. It would be, for example, it would be exactly that. Like there's this money which is like all the deposits, and really making sure that you commit all this money to certain companies, for example. Like we're only using that money to invest in, I don't know, wind parks or whatever, sustainable companies, which sounds pretty simple, but which is hard to do because the banking industry is that old, and maybe they don't have enough time to come up with all the processes that are necessary to make sure that money is only invested in that way. And if you want to take sustainability, it would be that idea to invest only in that, and there might be you have to come up with criteria to design that. And Haspa tries to do that locally.